the only probably country, two countries actually in the world, except for China, for different reasons, where Google couldn't become the search engine number one. It was Czech Republic with Seznam, and it was Russia with Yandex. So that's how good Russian programmers are.
Hey everyone, this is Prashant and I'll be your host for the VC 10X podcast. And today we have Andrey Kostyuk with us. Andrey is a co-founder of AAlchemy Ventures, which is a program run in association with Deloitte, where they are helping Russian entrepreneurs get access to the European market. In this episode, we talk about Andrey's story and how he started investing, all about AAlchemy Ventures and how different things work over there, the partnership with Deloitte and how it helps entrepreneurs, what they look for in companies while accepting them in the program, the Russian startup ecosystem, why unit economics is incredibly important in today's fundraising environment, and lots more. So without wasting any time, let's dive straight in. Hey Andrey, so good to have you on the VC 10X podcast. How are you doing?
Hi, Prashant. My pleasure. Doing fine. How are you on your end?
Yeah, I'm doing great as well, and great to have you here on the podcast. And just to start things off, can we first have your story and how you started investing?
I started investing long ago. Actually, I worked for hire for the last time in 1992. Then I was always doing my own thing, and that's always involves investing. But if you speak about angel investing, about startup investing, real estate investing, it took definitely some time before I mastered the capital and knowledge and understanding of the processes, managed to select the markets, both geographically and in terms of segments. And that's how it started. Actually, I'm doing angel investing professionally since 2015 now.
Yeah, certainly. That's very interesting. And can you tell us a bit more about Alchemy Ventures, which you have founded, and what are the different kinds of things that you're doing there?
Yeah, sure. I noticed that there is a demand for companies which are domiciled not in European Union to start doing business there, and we mostly speak about scale-ups. So that means that they have the product, they have initial sales at the home market, and they kind of feel themselves able and resourceful to expand. And many of those companies consider expanding into European Union. And that was the point when we spoke with Deloitte in Cyprus and established a collaboration, which is Alchemy Ventures' background idea. So we invite companies to come to Cyprus to domicile there to benefit from the legal and financial system and to start working and selling in European Union. That's one, and on the other hand, obviously, we invite investors to join us in this journey.
Right, absolutely. Uh, and here, I believe there is a partnership with Deloitte in works over here. So, can you give us a bit of a glimpse on how that partnership works out?
Again, we should be like very cautious about how we call it because it's our program in association with Deloitte. They are obviously very, very, cautious how they use the brand, and you can get it because it's a very, very valuable one. And it's actually very big value add, and probably the one that startups or scale ups do not understand in the very beginning. If they didn't have an experience in in a corporate world, they may have an idea that this is not for them, which is exactly untrue because being backed up by such a powerful knowledge repository, if you wish, it's a very, very big thing for a startup because they can, there is a concept of unknown unknowns. So startups don't know that they don't know many things. And that's where Deloitte help is just, something really invaluable.
Absolutely. So, Deloitte is very hands-on in running this entire thing. So it's not like they are just partners, and it's just not just a name that they're giving to you, but also like they're totally like in the streets and like working with the startups and building with
No,
them.
they
Is that
are
correct?
actually great service providers. So when we bring a
Yeah.
company to Cyprus, they can do anything for them, from simple
Mm-hmm.
things to complex things, like from doing the
Right.
payroll, doing the accounting, doing the tax declarations, to registering the IP. like helping the companies to establish IP box, which helps them to
Right.
save 80% in corporate taxes, and actually also provide them with the networking opportunities, because as you can guess, Deloitte knows many people, many customers that they have, and they have a lot of innovation programs around the globe. So it's a very nice networking tool as well.
Absolutely. And what I have learned is that you're mostly working with startups or companies that are from Russia. Is that correct? Or is it open
Yeah,
to from other
yeah,
countries
I'm
as well?
Russian myself, so that's
Yep.
my background. And there's a lot of people. A lot of Russians used to come to Cyprus before. Unfortunately, even
Hmm.
more of them are coming to Cyprus now. And it's a very
Right.
hospitable country which gives them a lot of opportunities. And Cyprus
Hmm.
being a small economy, it's less than 1 million people. It's a perfect platform to expand to Europe. So it's not about conquering Cyprus market, which is a good thing in itself. It's a
Yeah.
platform to kind of to start European expansion.
Yeah, that's a very interesting model. So I believe like you're using it as a hub wherein from where you can like set up your base and then expand to all the other European countries as well,
Sure,
right?
sure, that's what we offer. And the
Right.
companies can also benefit from European-wide programs like European grants and other support mechanisms. I used to be an
Hmm.
expert in European Commission for European Innovation Accelerator, for
Right.
European Innovation Council, sorry, for 5 years. Was one
Hmm.
of those who were like, evaluating the companies who submitted their grant applications. And now it's a
Right.
huge program with billions in investment, and all those companies can definitely benefit from that too.
Yeah, certainly. And can you give us a glimpse of the Russian uh, startup ecosystem, right? How vibrant is it, and what kind of startups are mostly coming up? What are the most active sectors? So can you tell us a bit more
Well, we
about
have
it?
a famous example, if I think nobody would mind it, that the only probably country, two countries actually in the world, except for China, for different reasons, where Google couldn't become the search engine number one. It was Czech Republic with Seznam, and it was Russia with Yandex. So that's how good Russian programmers are. Now, the
Right.
ecosystem used to be very vibrant, very active, and very high quality. And interestingly, Russia is not such a big market as you can think looking at the map, because it's only 140 something million people.
Right.
Not
Right.
of them really, like high spenders. So when you conquer two cities, maybe three, like Moscow, St. Petersburg, something else, you kind of end of story, and you need to expand somewhere. So that was why Russian companies used to always try to expand to outer world. It was a natural thing to do for any successful company there.
Yeah, certainly, and that's where your like Alchemy also comes in, helping Russian companies expand into the broader European market, right?
Yeah.
And like when you're selecting the companies that you're going to work with, right? At what stage are you starting to work with them, or if the companies are listening, then what all criteria do they need to qualify in order to start working with you?
Now, again, it depends because we prefer to invest very early. But when the company wants to go to Europe, it has to actually have something behind it. So it should be something like pre-A round stage, maybe around A stage. That's mostly the companies whom we offer this European program. And they need to have it, obviously. First thing that we're
Yeah.
interested in is the team. Again, in startup world, I think it's common understanding that the team
Yep.
is the first and foremost thing you look at, because as the saying goes, a good team will save a bad project, a bad team will kill a good one. So that's actually what's happening all the time that we see there. So the team and the validation of the product. So we need to understand why people buy it, what pain it addresses. And another important thing for us is a competitive landscape. We tend to analyze not only the competition today, but the competition in the future. Again, even if you have a like ready-made product, you still need to adapt it for a different market, right? from simple translation to kind of accounting for national national sensitivities or preferences, whatever. It takes you like a year and a half, and the world is not going to sit and wait until while you'll be doing that. So we definitely need to understand where the competition goes, and is there a good chance that in this year and a half, 2 year time, our product will still be a good fit?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, understanding of all that is extremely important, right? And like you're also having this unique standpoint where you are also an investor in another asset class, which is real estate, and also in this the VC asset class as well, where you're investing in startups, right? Can you help us compare these two different asset classes? How is the investing different from like into real estate from investing in startups, right? If you can give us a sense
No,
of
I
it.
think it's kind of a completely opposite asset classes. Real estate always used to be like a defense asset class against inflation or risk or whatever. Not so much nowadays because the market is uprooted with the new trends, but still it's a conservative investment which you do, and you can more or less predict how it will turn out, save for like things like COVID, right? But it's difficult for any asset class. Otherwise, real estate is, I would say, pretty boring. You more or less you know what you'll get out of your investment. In startups, it's totally different. It's like probably the highest risk asset class you can think of. And combining that in your portfolio, you kind of adjust the risk level of what you're doing. So I was always a
Right.
fan of bonds, but for 15 years now, it was impossible to work on this market, almost impossible. So, like fixed income was not fashionable there. So you needed to find a conservative asset, you needed to find a risky asset, maintain a liquidity position. So that's kind of three blocks I was using to build my investment portfolio.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So, is it in the same portfolio that you're investing, basically the same fund out of which you're investing into real estate, and it's the same fund out of which you're
I
investing
was
in
I was
startups?
running a fund for 12 years until it expired, and it was
Yeah.
a multi-asset class fund. We had compartments in the fund actually, so we didn't mix the money, but we could take the money from the same person, saying, okay, like you invest 1 million into real estate and 200,000 in startups, and it gives you this kind of mix. If you want it more aggressive, you can do, I don't know, 600 to 400, or that's for you to choose. So that's what we can quite
Yeah.
successfully have been doing because it's more or less a transparent proposition. So you can kind of fine tune the risk level the way you like it.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds great. And like we are right now in a kind of slowdown in terms of the investment dollars that are flowing, right? So, how has that impacted the European companies, right? So, can you also give us a sense of that?
Yeah, I think it's a healthy thing that happened because this inflow of quasi-free cash was not good for anyone. It inflated all the asset classes one after another, and then it led to this inflation that we see today. That was the final outcome of what was going on. So now we are kind of a little bit back to reasonable ground, and it's normal that startups are getting funding with difficulties because that's risk investment. Even if we speak about rounds B, C, D, it's still a risky investment compared to an established company. So it should come at a price. And one of the components of this price is difficulty in raising this money. You need to convince your investor that you have reasonable chances to like give them a nice return, and the principal and the return on top of that. Because before, with all this hot cash and the funds, people, again, this fear of missing out, the famous FOMO, was a very, very um, dangerous phenomenon, I would say. And that's what I'm always resisting to do. Okay, I missed this train, no problem, another will come. It's not like, running after that and it wait for me, guys. I need to jump right here, and it
Right.
can be difficult and dangerous. So yes,
Hmm.
early stage startup they still raise money without like visible problems for me. If it's a good startup, it raises seed rounds easily. I would say like pre-A's, A's they became more difficult. So people need to work more for that, and again, which is good, because on the other hand, that changes companies' perspective. Before they just needed to once again present exaggerated growth perspectives and sell this idea to the fund managers and like, raise the money. Now they need to kind of self-reflect. Like, is it the right thing that I'm doing? Can I convince people to invest in my business? And that's definitely positive.
Yeah, certainly. And now the right amount of effort goes into fundraising, right? And this is the normal, how it should be, in your opinion,
Yeah.
right? And now, like shifting focus to Alchemy once again. So here you are helping companies like get access to the European market. So how exactly are you doing it? What are the kind of things that are going to help these startups or companies get access to the European market?
First of all, again, this is a networks of ourselves and of course of Deloitte. That's about the future access. But you start from the basics, from A to Z. So you need to start a company there. You need to open a bank account, and you can imagine how easy it's in 2023 to open a bank account for a foreigner, foreign founder in European banks. So that's again where Deloitte assistance is invaluable. So you set up your business, and we and they, we can speak about us and Deloitte as them. But we can help them with finding right talent, starting running that, give them advice how to do it. We have a 5-day course on the basics of running business in EU. So we just explain like the key mechanics of what you need to know, like how it's exactly done, how it's different probably from your home country. So again, 2 plus 2 is still 4, but probably there's a different way to calculate it. So there are things that you definitely need to know. And then we put them in touch with investors which fit their profile. We put them in touch with companies which could be their customers. And we mostly do B2B or B2B2C because B2C is a very difficult model in my opinion. So it's mostly in this realm. And again, if it's B2B, you can guess that Deloitte can be very instrumental in finding the right opportunities for those companies. And finally, we try to help them with non-dilutive funding. So aside from investors, we try to identify the grant which are feasible for these companies, which they have good chance of getting, help them with applications, advise them on how to do that, help them with going through all those processes. So at the end of this journey, they're quite fit and capable of going forward alone, so to say. We're still around, but we are no longer no longer needed on a daily basis.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, that's a great approach. And do these founders need to like relocate to Cyprus and also like get a citizenship over there, or can they like stay in their own country and just set up an office here, a bank account, and then start running the business?
Again, there is an immigration policy which you need to kind of fit to
Right.
because
Yeah.
it's what they call there is a government department called Business Facilitation Unit. Now you need to invest, like, if I'm not mistaken, $200,000 in Cyprus economy, setting up your company basically. And with that, you can invite foreign employees to your company who will be getting 2-year work permits, extendable in the future. And now it takes you 7 years to be able to apply for citizenship, but it's in the works. Again, maybe it happened already with a couple, finally, like a week or two ago, but it was long in the work that they're going to reduce it to 5 years time. Again, Cyprus is not in Schengen, but on 25th of July they are scheduled to join the Schengen border control system, and after that, hopefully within a year or two, they will finally join, and you will be traveling around the Europe without any problem on Cyprus visa. And of course, everybody understands if you do business, especially in several locations, you have to travel. Issue is you need to spend reasonable time in Cyprus. So you need to come at least 1 in 3 months, if I'm not mistaken, again, and spend a reasonable amount of time, like maybe a couple of weeks. But of course, if you want to run business in Europe, you need like a permanent staff on the ground. So the founders can move around, but they need a team which are working for them 24/7 right there.
Certainly, totally agreed. Yeah, good to get a perspective on that. And now let's talk about your biggest learning investing over the years. You've been investing in startups for years now, like started with the angel investing, now your proper setup, and now partnering with Deloitte as well. So, what's been your biggest learning as an investor, or maybe a mistake that you made that you wish you could have avoided? Right.
No, we have. I made many mistakes. I don't have enough time for me to tell of all of them. But what they call gut feeling, in fact, it's an expression of your experience, actually, which you accumulated. So you definitely need to listen to your gut feeling because it's like your subconsciousness trying to tell you something. It could be good or bad. You cannot understand what you
Yeah.
like these people, you cannot understand what you dislike these people, but you need to listen to
Mm-hmm.
yourself, first of all. So validation by other people is great. So we never invest alone. Again, as the saying goes, again, as we put it, we want to see that there is at least another fool at the table, not only us, but that's the secondary consideration. And again, when we invest, we start with the team. So in our experience, it's always like that. So if it's a good team, they will be pivoting many times from what they're showing you today. If it's a bad team, they will be doing the same, but probably in the wrong direction. So speak about the team, consider if it's complementary. Another thing, they should be complementary. Like, three guys of the same profile, that doesn't work. Like three engineers will hardly make a great business. So you need somebody to do all administrative stuff. You need somebody to sell. You need somebody to develop. That's like roughly speaking, we prefer teams of three people, at least 3 to 4, and where it's split more or less like that. If it's a physical product, there should be like a head of product for that. And if we see that it's complementary, if we see they're relevant to the project, again, if somebody tries to build a biotechnological company, being by training, I don't know, like an engineer, again, it would be difficult sell, right? You need to understand what you're doing, so how you're relevant to what you're trying to build. So that's maybe the first and foremost thing. And another one is how they listen to you. Yeah, I'm not pretending to be a sage. I don't know about the future. But I appreciate when people just listen to me and politely disagree because I can be wrong. What I don't like is when people just don't listen to you from the very beginning. And again, like guys, if you behave like that before I gave you any money, what will happen after I sign the check? So, so they should be how they call it, willing to educate themselves, let's say. They should be relevant to the project, they should be complementary, and they should understand again the concepts. Like they need to research their project well. So we need to see that it's not that just built on the napkin yesterday. They should like put a serious effort into designing the business they want to run. So that's also visible. So if these components are in place, you have a fair chance to succeed with those people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, those are some great learnings there. And my last main question before we move on to the rapid fire round, and this one is about what's something that you wish changes about the startup ecosystem?
It professionalizes. Year on year, it's getting more and more professional. It was like initially it was kind of an entertainment for geeks, and in 2023, it's a very professional industry with very professional players in like trillions of assets in play. So that's what's changing, and the layers of the system are quite well defined. And one of the questions people ask me, how do you see like angel investing in the future? As I see it like well, nice and healthy because for VCs it's a game of numbers and will also be a game of numbers. They need to be able to analyze something tangible. When we invest, there's nothing tangible to analyze, so it's a different game. So we kind of, we partner with VCs. We invest when they can't. We nourish the company and we deliver it to them at the stage when they can understand what's going on. And I really doubt that even early stage VC will go as deep as business angels go just because of that. It's definitely different model. And on the side of startups, it's also different because again, nobody understood before what like startup is. Now, all of the players in the field understand that startup is different from a classic business in the main focus of what the company tries to achieve. The main like classic business model is about profitability. Startup model is about growth. That's out of that the difference comes. So if you want to build a profitable company from day one, you can be hugely successful, but it's not a startup business. It's not what you're doing. So just a different game, and people understand it. They know how to play. Again, I'm not saying that startups should not consider profits. They have to, because the model when we just grow, and at the end something good happens, it's not a business. It's more about religion. It's a trust that every something good happens. You need to understand more or less where you stop burning money and you get into the sustainable growth track, right? But you definitely need several years of cash burning. There's no way around it. And that's now all, the change is that all the expectations of all the players are quite well aligned. So we don't waste a lot of time explaining these concepts to each other, understanding what's going on. We can kind of skip this stage.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think more so in the present landscape, it is extremely important to like have your focus on profitability or get to that as fast as possible, because these days like investors are asking that where is the money flowing in, right? How are you making
Sure.
money? Because yeah, VCs are no longer like giving you money to just burn it and grow. Like they also need that, like some side of profitability at least, right? That needs to
Of
be
course,
there,
but again, it's a
right?
problem of moving target. Okay, you became profitable in your home market, but you kind of hit the ceiling of the potential growth. You need to expand, and you repeat this exercise once again at a different market. You start losing money there. So it's all the time like this. So we need really to
Yeah.
have like nerves of steel, just
Yeah,
watching all those companies moving in all those directions, burning cash,
right.
and like knowing that it will be fine at the end of the story.
Absolutely. Like we need some kind of startups wherein there are profits early in and also it's scaling at the same time, like sustainable scaling, right?
Sure,
That
sure. That's
kind
the
of.
best metrics for that is unit economy. So
Yeah, yeah,
if you spend a
exactly.
dollar and you get back two, okay, there's a
Hmm.
point in time which you can calculate when you start making money. If you invest $1
Right.
and you get 0.9 at the end of the day, it's like probably you have a problem there.
Agreed. All right. Let's now move on to our rapid fire round wherein I'll ask you 5 questions about the investing that you're doing and you have to give 5 quick answers. Sounds
Sure.
good. All right. So the first one goes, what are the sectors and regions you're investing in?
I invest mostly in North America. In North America, it's mostly US and it's Western Europe. The sectors I invest in B2B or B2B2C and in services. I don't invest normally in physical products. And in terms of investment rounds of the stage is from pre-seed to pre-A, and I can invest in the round A as a follow-up, but not later than that.
Got it. And what's the typical check size you put in?
Again, depends on the geography because in the states tickets are normally higher. But okay, in Europe, if we speak about pre-seed round, it would be like 25 to 100, let's say. If we speak about seed, 50 to 150. Pre-A would be between 100 and 250, and if round A is there, another 250 probably, something like this.
Awesome. And where can founders pitch you or apply to Alchemy?
Yeah, sure. There's actually a special like form on the website. They can just send it there. There's an email, and I get it all directly. Interestingly, probably for the people, I check everything that comes into my mailbox myself, not because I want to suffer, but because I have enough experience to kind of, again, we jokingly call it, investment Tinder, like left and right. So I kind of understand which proposals are really a no-go quite fast. And when we have a kind of the first, when again, we speak with the funnel, if they get into the funnel, then it goes to the analysts who check it deeper. But the initial screening is mine and the final saying is mine.
That's awesome. That's rare to see, right? Like the decision maker is also doing the first round of screening. Amazing. Great. And last one, where can our listeners follow you?
LinkedIn. The best place to follow me is LinkedIn. I
Yep.
think it's the best platform nowadays where we can all converge.
For sure. I'll make sure to put all those links that you just mentioned in the show notes below so that our listeners can get there easily. Thanks so much for coming on, Andrei, and sharing your knowledge.
That
And
was
happy
an
investing.
absolute pleasure. Thank you for inviting.